So the Chiefs just got the best news possible for a Wednesday at least, looking pretty healthy coming off the bye, especially when looking at one position group they need to be as close to 100% as possible considering who they're about to go up against. Combine that with the Broncos most likely being out several key starters, and this is looking to further be in KC's favor. However, there's a couple surprising injuries on the report that gives me a little pause, and in today's video, I'll break that down, talk about Mahomes and Andy Reid's thoughts surrounding the importance of this upcoming game, a small roster move they made today, KC's offense looking to bounce back, and more. But first, how about those? All right, so we all know this Sunday's game is the game of the year so far for the Chiefs. There's a lot on the line as KC sits at third in the division, and if the season ended today, they would not make the playoffs. As annoying as that is for me to hear everybody talk about it, people talk about it because of how odd that is to see the standings through the first half of the season and where the Chiefs are at. Obviously, they're normally at the top, or at least near the top of the AFC, and then in seasons prior when they've struggled a bit more, at least earlier on, the division hasn't been nearly as competitive as it is now, and that's why they find themselves in such an odd, uncomfortable spot. That's why this game is so important. Falling to 5-5 on the year would have them battling for a wild card spot, because if Denver goes to 9-2 before their bye, there is a very slim chance KC could win the division unless both the Broncos and the Chargers randomly decided to implode and lose the majority of their games the remainder of the season. Everyone on the team knows that, but Mahomes said they aren't overly focused on all that right now. They are locked in on the present day, doing all they can to prepare for a very tough opponent in the Broncos. They are finding close ways to win games, talking about Denver, like the Chiefs did last year. This year, 8 of the 10 games that Denver has played in have ended in one score, and they are 6-2 in those matchups. KC, on the other hand, has lost all 4 of their one-score games, with their 5 wins ended up being decided by 13 or more. That's the difference between the Broncos having a couple more losses and KC having a couple more wins. Just a play here or there that's executed at a higher level in crucial situations. So you've got to tip your cap to Denver, man, because they keep winning. Ugly wins or not, they're finding a way to get it done. They are obviously a defensive first team. We know that, and Andy Reid himself said that D-line, it starts with them. It's going to be a great challenge for their O-line, and he personally loves the challenge of going up against a great football team, and per usual, he gave Denver lots of respect from the coaching staff to the players, saying Denver's won a lot of close games. Quote, "The way this league is right now, you've got to be able to do that. The AFC West is tremendously strong. All teams are good, and everyone is striving to win it." On the subject of Denver's D-line, Mahomes said they have 5 really good guys in the trenches. They can all get after the quarterback, so it's about having great protection schemes, changing up the looks for them so they can't just tee off, and get the ball out quick as needed. I will also say if you go up early, that's going to help as well, because the Chiefs won't be forced to pass as much as they normally do, even though, yes, they are a pass-first offense. They also can't just let any pass rusher make a play that disrupts the entire game, said Mahomes. And last year, in their one game that mattered, talking Chiefs and Broncos, they were able to get to Mahomes 4 times, and honestly, were 1 second away from winning 17-16 via a 35-yard chip shot. However, Leo Chanel said no thank you and denied them of that pleasure, blocking the field goal to win the game 16-14. Bo Nix, who has struggled with being consistent this year, especially early on in games, was able to complete 22 of his 30 pass attempts for 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, with Cortland Sutton leading the group of pass catchers. He caught one of those touchdown passes, but also had 5 other snags for 70 yards on the day. Denver was 1 for 2 in the red zone, but the story of that game to me was actually the Chiefs being 1-4 in the red zone. So that'll be a key in this one. If the Chiefs get inside the 20, they need 7 rather than 3. Obviously, more than a 25% success rate inside the 20 at scoring touchdowns. Now, part of the issue is Denver's defense is elite in the red zone, but their offense isn't exactly one to fear, especially when you look at injuries and how Nix has struggled at times this season. They, of course, played each other again week 18, but there's literally nothing to take away from that game because the Chiefs rested most of their starters as they already had the 1 seed and first round bye locked up. That's why it ended being a 38-0 bloodbath, and again, it meant very little for the Chiefs. This is a new year, though, and things are different. The Chiefs should be getting a key player back on their O-line. Meanwhile, the Broncos are down a few key players on both sides of the ball, which is why nearly everybody is picking the Chiefs to win it on the road. So I'll talk about why that is look at the injury report, and more coming up next. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile's challenging industry norms and fixing what's broken in traditional wireless. And here's what I mean by that. Mint introduced the concept of bulk buying to the wireless space. So the more months you buy up front, the more you save. Plans come in 3, 6, and 12-month durations, and the best part is, Mint lets you choose the data amount that's right for you so you don't overpay for something one size fits all. Well, that's perfect for me because I'm on Wi-Fi all the time. I work from home and never leave the house. So a low data plan is more beneficial, but you can select 5 GB, 15 GB, 20 GB, or unlimited data each month. And don't be afraid of their coverage either. They provide 5G coverage to 98% of Americans and 4G LTE coverage to 99% of Americans. Plus, all plans include unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network, free calling to Mexico, Canada, and the UK, as well as a 10 GB hotspot on unlimited plans. Switching over is simple too. You can sign up and activate in minutes with eSIM from the comfort of your own home. And for proof, 96% of users rate themselves as highly satisfied with Mint's customer care. You can just bring along your own unlocked phone, like I got, or shop the latest phones with Mint, and no matter which route you take, either way, you can keep your phone number and all your existing contacts when you make the switch, and all plans come with a 7-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Hold on a second. Hello? Oh, the deal? Yeah. For a limited time this season, you can get 50% off an unlimited premium wireless plan from Mint. Lock in Mint's lowest price of the year and pay just $15 a month for a 3, 6, or 12-month plan. Link to that and more details is in the pinned comment and description down below. All right, so this year, the Broncos defense is still top 3 in the NFL in nearly every metric. Points per game, yards per game. They are the best third down and red zone defense, which is why I said when they played last year and the Chiefs were 1-4, that's partially because the Broncos defense is just very good at that portion of the field, and that remains true this year. They also lead the league in sacks. More on that in a second, and on top of that, they allow the fewest yards per rush in the league. So I saw a comment recently that said, hey, the Chiefs need to find success by running the ball. Well, the Broncos are very good against the run as well. It's honestly rare to have a defense this well-rounded and this elite at nearly every phase of the game, though they will be without Pat Surtain II, PS2, my favorite gaming console ever. Most likely, he's not on IR, but he's been out for a few weeks now dealing with an injury, and I don't think he plays in this one either. On top of that, their linebacker, who wears the green dot, so their play caller of the defense, had surgery this past week and will not be playing. It was actually testicular cancer, so I do wish him nothing but the best in his recovery, and I'm glad they caught that very early from what I understand. Now, those two players are key for the defense, PS2, Alex Singleton, but don't worry, they have plenty of other playmakers still out there. Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, the former 49ers, are flying all around and making plays, and then the group of pass rushers are on pace to potentially rack up the most sacks in a season in NFL history. The current leaders are the 1984 Bears, who racked up 72 sacks in 16 games. Well, through 10 outings so far, the Broncos have 46 sacks, 14 more than second place, and are on pace, if you average it out through 17 games, to have 78 sacks, which of course would be an NFL record. Nick Bonito leads the charge with 9.5 sacks. Jonathan Cooper has 7.5. Zach Allen has 6. And there's plenty of others on this list you can see here that know how to get home to the quarterback. Well, that's why all eyes are on Josh Simmons, who's back and did practice today. And if he can go, even with his time away from the team, he's still probably the best option to protect the blind side of Patrick Mahomes. I kind of hate that after 5 or so weeks away from the team that this is Simmons' welcome back to the NFL game, but hey, it is what it is, and honestly, I am just glad that he's back. Andy Reid told the media today that, quote, Simmons will jump in, we'll see what he can do, and we'll go from there. He's glad Josh is back, and they'll keep an eye on him this week. And again, go from there. That's his favorite term. They want to see what kind of shape he's in and see how he does getting back into the football swing of things. Quote, I'm sure he's going to be okay, but we'll see. Well, if I had to put money on it, I think Simmons will play, especially given the magnitude of this game. But obviously, we will watch the injury report this week and kind of see how things play out. Mahomes is also excited to have Simmons back and in the building, so they'll get him out on the practice field to see where he's at. Then coach will make the decision as the week goes on. Regardless of who plays at left tackle, though, Mahomes has confidence in both Jalen Moore and Josh Simmons, and both can have success. I will say, whether it's Josh Simmons or Jalen Moore, either guy is going to be more effective out there than who played at left tackle during last year's matchup. That was Kingsley Suamataia, who allowed a team-high 7 pressures, which is obviously way less than ideal. Of course, I'm much more confident in Kingsley at guard. I think he's playing well this season. I'm very happy to see that, but he was not it at the left tackle spot, that's for sure. Something Mahomes wants to intentionally be better at in this game, as opposed to the Bills game, is staying true to his read progressions as the game goes on. When he reevaluated the Buffalo match, he started off well in his progressions, but as it went on, he got away from that. This was Mahomes' words to the media today. He wants to get better at that under pressure and being more consistent throughout all 4 quarters. And honestly, if Mahomes does that, they are probably winning this game. That's where the key to this one lies for me. The Chiefs offense against the Denver Broncos defense. That's because the Broncos offense is, honestly, they're struggling right now. They're dealing with a very key injury on that side of the ball that I'll touch on here in a moment when I look at the injury report. But injuries aside, Bo Nix has the most overthrows, boverthrows, as Brandon Perna likes to call it in the NFL, 40 of them to be exact. Their offense also has the second most 3-and-outs in the NFL. The Eagles actually have the most. Then they have the second most drops in the NFL, back to the Broncos. They are also tied for first in the league with 83 penalties. That's accounting for defensive flags as well. Not extremely surprising because they are a very physical defense. And then nobody has punted more than Denver, 53 on the year. The Chiefs, in comparison, are well under half that at 22, as they punt at one of the fewest rates in the entire league. This is partially due to being aggressive on 4th down and elite at moving the chains on 3rd down, but that's also because the offense has just been moving the ball at a very high level all season long. Even after the more subpar outing against Buffalo, the offense is still second in EPA per play, second in total EPA, second in points per drive, third in red zone touchdowns, and fourth in success rate. The offense is back. Of course, they need to play better than they did against the Bills. That much is clear. And honestly, had they just scored at the 1-yard line before halftime, we could have been looking at a completely different game, because end game, they would have needed a field goal to tie it rather than a touchdown, but I digress. The past is the past. Now, focusing on the future, the Chiefs know what is at stake in this game, and they are coming off of their bye. Andy Reid is actually 22-4 in his head coaching career after a bye, 13-1 with the Eagles, and 9-3 with the Chiefs. That's actually best all time coming off the bye. Pretty good. Andy shared that the bye week is beneficial to let the players rest up, but then it gives them more time to evaluate where they're at as a team and further prepare to take on the Denver Broncos, who, to be fair, are coming off a mini bye themselves since they played on Thursday Night Football, so they'll have a bit of extra rest as well. As far as what's at stake, Mahomes said it best. Guys understand they need to win Sunday in order to have a chance at the division, adding, if we play our best football, we can win against anyone. So they've got to prepare and go out there and play at the level they know they can. Preparation is key for this one each and every day at practice, especially for a divisional game on the road, knowing that if you lose this one, you have roughly a 9% chance at winning the division, which is pretty crazy considering KC has won the West every year since 2016. Next up, I want to talk about some good news for the Chiefs and compare that to some not so good news for the Denver Broncos by looking at these injury reports. For starters, this isn't good news, but Isaiah Pacheco with his knee is probably not playing this week. Andy Reid basically confirmed as much during his presser on Monday, so you might not have Pacheco out there. That's Kareem Hunt, Brashard Smith, maybe Elijah Mitchell season, quite possibly CEH once again. We'll see. But here's a bit of a surprising development. George Karlaftis was listed as a limited participant today as he's dealing with a thumb injury or issue. I'm not sure if it happened in the game, at practice, or what, but this is literally the first I have heard of that one. So that's something to keep eyes on, because if George Karlaftis can't go, that makes your pass rush that much worse. I think he's going to go, but he might be limited in some capacity out there. We'll see. Jaden Hicks is dealing with a pec issue. Is that why he played only a few snaps in this last game or what? Not sure, because they didn't report that as an injury after the game. Charles Omenihu's on there with an ankle, but he was a full go, as was Jaden Hicks. But then here's some really good news. Josh Simmons, who was away for personal reasons, was a full participant today, and if he trends that way on Thursday and Friday, this man is playing, and it is much needed. Then Trey Smith with the back was a full go, as well as Jawan Taylor with the ankle and the knee, but the ankle was new from the Bills game, so that is great news, because again, you need that O-line to be as close to 100% as humanly possible going up against the Broncos. Now for the Broncos, they had a few guys on there full, but several that did not practice at all. Jonathan Cooper with the thumb was a full go. Marvin Mims, he's in concussion protocol or coming out of that, so he was a full go, trending in an upward direction for him, which is great news. They had Garrett Wallow, their linebacker, with a hamstring. He was a full go as well. But look at this. Nate Adkins, tight end, didn't practice. J.K. Dobbins, their RB1, did not practice, and that is a much bigger deal for the Broncos not to have their running back one compared to the Chiefs and their running back one, because the Broncos love to run the football a little bit more than KC. But then you had Jonah Ellis with a hamstring. He didn't practice. Neither did Trent Sherfield. He's a wide receiver dealing with a toe injury, but that's why they probably signed a wide receiver today. I'll get into that in a minute. But then you had Alex Singleton. That's the linebacker dealing with the testicular cancer procedure that he had done. He didn't practice. He's not going to be playing. And then Pat Surtain, you think if he would be playing or trending in that direction, he would at least have been limited today. But again, that could change later this week. But it looks like as of right now, the Broncos aren't going to have J.K. Dobbins, Alex Singleton for sure, and then Pat Surtain II, most likely not him either. And then both teams made a roster move today. For starters, the Chiefs signed wide receiver Jimmy Holiday to their practice squad. They didn't have a corresponding move. I think they had one spot still available. So there you go. I don't know why. Maybe this is just for the scout team. He matches up body type wise compared to a wide receiver on the Broncos roster. That's my best guess right now. I'm not really sure because there's not injuries to the wide receiver room that I'm really aware of. He was a UDFA in 2025, a guy fighting mainly with the third team offense in training camp, but did catch a nice 50-yard bomb during the preseason. He's been away, but he's now back to the practice squad. Then the Broncos signed little Jordan Humphrey off of, I think it was the Giants practice squad, to their active roster. He's been in their system for the past couple of years, so there's familiarity there. And with a little bit of injuries in their wide receiver room, he could be playing this Sunday. That's per Adam Schefter of ESPN. So there you go. Let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling about this game based on some of the stuff I talked about today, including the most updated injury report as we see it today. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?